everyone. It's a great pleasure to welcome you all to the International Symposium on Sustainable One Health. We are honored to have distinguished guests and scholars with here today.
Today I, Samiksha and Risha ma'am are here to be your hosts for the event.
Now we will proceed with the lighting of the lamp. I request the dignitaries to proceed with that. To begin our program, we invite Dr. Madhimaran Natarajan, Center Head, Center for Sustainability and Climate Studies at Pondicherry University, to deliver the welcome address.
So, very good afternoon to one and all. So, it's my great pleasure and privilege to welcome the distinguished guest here on the dais, and also the participants, and also our partner institutions. So I would be happy to now welcome the delegates, each one of the delegates here in the dais. First and foremost, our guest of honor, Mr. Jonas Brunswick, CEO and Consul General in Swissnex, India, also Consulate General in Switzerland, Bangalore. I welcome you, sir. And our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor K. Tarani Karasu, here. I welcome you, sir, for your great time. I welcome also our most respected Professor Rajneesh Bhutani, our Registrar in charge here. And with us also we have a special guest, Professor Biswas, Vice Chancellor from Sri Balaji Vidyapeeth. So I welcome you, sir, cordially. And my colleague and friend, Dr. E. Manigandan, here from Department of Nanotechnology. I welcome you. So, unfortunately, for the our honorable member of Parliament, who is supposed to join us in the beginning, we are still awaiting, but so we couldn't have him because of his short notice. He has to be with the government. Most respected partners, we have invited from different medical institutions. As you know, this One Health, we'll hear a lot about today on this topic. We have invited specifically each of our partner institution here, representing veterinary sciences, medical sciences, and also environmental as a team here. So the idea is to have one consortia of members, particularly from the region Pondicherry. Okay, so in this regard, we have invited from institution Rajiv Gandhi Veterinary Institute, Sri Aurobindo Society here, Sri Balaji Vidyapeeth from VCRC, and also from institution from Pajango, that is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru Agriculture College, Karaikal, we have invited, and also so the 7 of the institutes. So I welcome them specifically on this occasion, where we want to kind of launch initiative on the Sustainable One Health, as you will hear a lot from also the speakers. and we have also a technical session at the end for presenting the papers. So with that, I welcome the rest of the those who have come from the university, from different institutions, including our institute, Pondicherry University, faculties, deans, students, all of them are here. So I take this opportunity to also interact during the technical session and panel discussion we have, so that you get to know about this topic, which is the most, in a way, most emerging topic, integrated topic of having different disciplines under one health program. With that, I welcome again all of you and wish you also a great time for the rest of the program. Thanking you.
Richa and Samiksha, right? Thank you. You are doing very good job. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, rather. I am really honored and feeling very excited to have been chosen by Dr. Madhimaran to deliver the inaugural address of such an important event. It is a very important event. I cannot emphasize it enough how important this concept of One Health itself is. In fact, when I was looking at the flyer and I saw the word sustainable before the One Health, I was just thinking it is the overemphasizing of the emphasis of the One Health concept itself. Because One Health itself is the one sustainable thing that humanity, I am using the word humanity, can strive for. Of course, this flyer very beautifully reproduces some part of the WHO, which defines the One Health concept as the integrated or the intersection of animal health, agriculture, plants, biosphere, and the humans. And when you come to this common intersection zone, that is the health we call One Health. So this itself is the sustainable thing. Of course, Dr. Madhimaran in his address also mentioned that this is the recent concept which is coming up, and this is the emerging area of collaboration and research. When I was listening to this, I was also thinking that sometimes, there are some concepts which go in cycles. And why I'm saying this is because if you see the core concept of this One Health, you would, in this audience, I'm sure nobody would miss to notice that this is actually the Indian cultural tradition as well. Particularly, if you look from the Gandhian economy point of view, they used to say village economy. If you look the village life, how does a villager, sustain itself? You would find livestock in their homes. You would find small farming they would do. And you will never find them falling sick very often as we do. So when you do with the harmony with the species around us, and I am again consciously using the word species, not a particular animal or any livestock or any particular, those, from the researcher's point of view, some people may focus that what could be the source of some pandemic. What could be the sources of certain vector-borne diseases? But I am using in general the word species, and when I use this word, it also reminds me, because I come from the earth science background, sometimes when we have this perspective of evolution, because earth scientists do work with the evolutionary perspective, then we realize, I do not know whether I should use this kind of big words, that arrogance of humans to think that they are beyond and other than all the other species. So this arrogance which is now leading us to all kinds of problems. So humans are also one of the several billions of millions of species that we have on Earth, and unless we are conscious of that fact, unless we know that we have to survive with them, if they do not survive, we are affected directly. So that kind of concept, that kind of consciousness, that kind of acknowledgement of our own vulnerability vis-a-vis the other life forms are sunk in completely in each one of us. You know, we find, if we will, and everybody would agree that it won't be much, long-term sustainable development of humanities overall. So in that way, I would say that, I congratulate Dr. Madhimaran to have come up with this kind of concept, and in very short notice could arrange such kind of conference. So big congratulations to Dr. Madhimaran, and I thank everyone. The very fact that you would find the people at the helm of affairs in different institutes, Vice Chancellor of Balaji Vidyapeeth, Senior Dean of the JIPMER, from VCRC, from Aurobindo Society, from all the partner institute who decided to be here, that also shows the importance of this concept, the importance of this particular area of study, if I can use that word. Area of study is when I say, I know that this conference or this particular program also aims to bring researchers, academicians, practitioners together in a single program to contribute to the overall development in this particular field and overall well-being of the human society. So in that way, on the behalf of the university, I take this opportunity to thank each one of those partner institutes who have, the top level people are here. So I'm very grateful for them that you could make it here. When I'm thanking and expressing my gratitude, how can I miss? He used the other drivers, but I would say key driver, the Jonas, the Council General of Switzerland. And this was only our second meeting, and he's such a friendly, inspiring, and motivating personality. Then I, personally, of course, on behalf of university, but I personally feel so happy and positive vibes I get when we are in his presence. His stature is very high, but he doesn't make it feel like that. He's so knowledgeable person, but he is the one, I must let me reveal it here. He is the one big, not only support, but a push factor behind Dr. Madhimaran to have done this. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much for this. I also take this opportunity to thank and put my gratitude to Professor Tarnikar Su, who would cut through all the red tapeism when it comes to delivering real substance. He will cut through all red tapeism. He will make sure that the end product, which is really useful the entire university, and in that way all the stakeholders of the academics, he made sure that this conference goes on time. So thank you, sir, for this particular thing. I'll also use this opportunity to express my, my one desire that each one of you who are today participating should also make sure that your participation does not end to the attending such conferences or workshop or writing one or two research papers that eventually all of you would write, because you showed your interest in this kind of research. You may have different areas of research, but please don't miss to acknowledge or to notice that this concept of One Health also forces one to come out of your specific domain and collaborate with the other domain. That is the underlying concept of this entire thing, that you cannot now, suppose I am from animal sciences, or I am from agriculture sciences, or I am from environmental sciences. Now it is no longer acceptable, or I should not use the word acceptable, but it is not longer desirable that you remain in your specific narrow domain of research. You have to expand. Particularly I am talking to the young research scholars and young students and young participants to this conference, that make sure that you find out right networking points to whom should I collaborate, and how do suppose I come from environmental sciences, how could I collaborate with an agriculture scientist, with an animal science expert, with other vector-borne disease expert, for community medicine experts, and then come up with something very innovative, very unique research program. So I hope that this conference also would lead to identification of such new innovative fields of research. That finally there are many bodies now today, particularly in the One Health, there are many funding agencies which definitely would like to fund such kind of new initiatives that I'm sure this conference would come up with. So with this, I wish this conference a big success, and thank you again, and congratulations to all of you who are attending this. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Bhuttani, for your inspiring words. We now request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor K. Tharanikaarasu, to deliver the presidential address.
Good afternoon, one and all present here. Respected the Consul General at Swanex in India, Mr. Jonas Bresvik, the Sri S. Selvaganapathy, Honorable Member of Parliament in absentia, Professor Rajneesh Bhuttani, Registrar, Pondicherry University, and all the dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, especially Professor Biswas, Vice Chancellor of Sri Balaji Vidyabhis, Mahatma Gandhi Medical College and Research Institute, and the representatives from Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Veterinary Educational and Research, ICMR, VCRC, then JIPMER, Sri Aravinda Society, and Bhajanko College of Agriculture and Research Institute, and Nallam Clinic. Good afternoon, everyone. So, as our Registrar mentioned, it is the very important initiative for our next generation. So, friends, I am basically a chemistry professor. I am working on energy related membranes for the fuel cell, that is electricity generation. I have some understanding about how our energy need is especially the damaging our ecosystem, the environment, and also our health of our human species, you can say, or other than the human, even the animals. So there are now the health is no longer only related to the drugs, or the only related to especially the medical research. You can easily understand also when you visit doctor also, wherever they mention, earlier they used to be, there is a reason behind this, some microorganism like this, and there are many diseases, we don't know the cause of that particular disease. So that is a stage we are living. Earlier in you can say 100 years ago, we don't know there are some pathogens behind this particular disease. We don't know what is that pathogens. But now we have all capacity. But other than the pathogens, there are many reasons behind a particular disease. We call sometimes it is the lifestyle disease. Even for the cancer, there are different cancers. So most of the cancer, we don't know the cause of the disease. So people or researchers are discussing about what may be the reason for this type of diseases. So there are many diseases, we can't say what is the reason behind this. That is the stage we are. So at this moment, when we have full knowledge about all the pathogens, even the chemicals, on biochemical reactions, biochemical mechanism, all those things. But still, we are not able to control disease. But in fact, it is after corona, we understand that the population, our humanity is high danger. A small coronavirus can do such a devastation. Then you think of the many microorganisms which they can also attack, means we cannot sustain it. Even now people are talking about mpox. So there is no end for this. We are always in danger, and compared to animals, we worry too much about our survival. But we are the most intellectual species, but still we have more worries than the happiness. So that is the at present we have. This is one side. Another side is we are not understanding also the importance of health. So what is the how to go about this? We don't have a policy. We don't have a policy how we are going to tackle this. We don't have a policy also. Suppose another virus attack, how to handle this, and we don't have a policy on this. And what are the different reasons behind this health we have to handle. So we don't have the holistic policy on handling the health. We are working on the symptom based diseases. So whenever we have a symptom, we visit the hospital and we take the we try to take and try to control, but still our system will take care of it. But still we don't have any government policy also. What are the different factors which we have to bring together to control to take care of our Indian population, or even for that argument the world population, to control the disease free population. So this is the main topic of today's health. How to understand, other than the pathogens, other than the whatever the medical field or pharmaceutical field they are helping us to maintain our health. What are the other factors which can contribute to control the disease, to control our health? So that's what I understand what is the meaning of One Health. So in this aspect only we are going to today they are going to discuss about this. And when you take the reason behind this, you all know that. So our industrial production, so earlier to 1920s we were under some control, that there is a holistic introduction of any knowledge, any businesses. But after this industrial revolution, there was in 1920s there was no the holistic approach to revolutionize the industry. So only the production oriented and business oriented and profit oriented, the business started blooming in the 1920s. It went through, still it is on that stage only. So when we talk about development, there are certain industries they talk about developments. There are certain other industries they always talk about how to control the disease or how to maintain the health in the society. So there is no connection. There is always no connection in this. So that is going on. One side we talk about growth, another side we talk about the environment, ecological maintenance, all those things. But unfortunately or fortunately we have to have both. We have to strike a balance between them. So whoever is striking a balance, the country is growing, but we cannot also say that we don't want industrial growth, we need only health of our population. That also it is not possible. So there is one simple example I can give here. The World Health Organization, they announced that whatever the diesel exhaust from diesel engine is carcinogen. It is World Health Organization. They announced it in 2014. But still we are not banning it. Not only our country, there are many countries, they are not able to ban this. So that means our diesel exhaust, whatever is coming in the air, atmosphere, it is causing the lung cancer definitely. But we are not worrying about this. So this is the way we cannot stop because of the whatever the atmospheric pollution. Because of this, we cannot stop our industries also. Not even industry, we cannot stop the public transport system where we are using diesel. So we cannot ban the diesel engine. That is what we are all, buying more diesel engine based cars because we want to have because diesel is cheaper than petrol. This is what we are doing it. We are not worrying about the health of the public. So this is the understanding of the science behind this, reason behind this. Even the public or the policy makers, now they are trying to stop the selling of running of the old vehicles, and in fact in Pondicherry they banned the public vehicles, only public vehicles, in the sense public institution owned vehicles more than 10 years. That means the private, they can do more harm than the public. That is the idea, but it is not that idea. So at least as a public institutions, we cannot allow to run the old diesel engine based vehicles. But still, to be precise, we have to ban all the diesel engine based vehicles. So that is a stage, but still we are not able to get away from this. This is the one simple example I am telling you for the sake of the students, how the health is related to other than the medical field. So there are many factors, and how the climate conditions will also increase the number of diseases. So all those things only we have to study, and that is the main reason for this sustainable One Health. So I think Dr. Madhimaran Nadarajan and our Honorable Counsel General of SUNEX, Mr. Jonas Breswick, they are talking, I think, long time. When he visited, our Counsel General visited last time, when we opened the Center for Sustainability and Climate Studies, also we were discussing about this. So the next step, we were now, today we are discussing about how the collaborative institutions, they can come together and then they can contribute for the one cause, that is sustainable One Health. So today we will discuss about this, and we are really very positive that we will go for MOU next time when we meet, and bring the discussion more on this, publication more on this subject. And as our center head Dr. Madhimaran mentioned, we are going to have a consortium kind of things, and with this definitely I expect many policy will come out of this, and many papers will be come out of this, which will be very useful for the humanity. That's the aim of this. But I feel it is a high time, because in the name of the growth, we have damaged our earth much. So at this stage, we have to get back and give the more fresh earth to our generations. So this is a very noble cause. So that is why we are all assembled here, and especially for our younger generation, this will be eye opener for them. How the One Health, sustainable One Health, is going to be very useful for the future society. So I thank Dr. Madhimar Nadarajan, Center Head, for organizing this wonderful, very important international symposium. So even though it is very short, within a short period we have arranged, but the cause is very noble. So generally the important things start with small thing, but when it goes to the center stage, it will be very useful for everyone. So I thank all the collaborative organization for taking your time and coming here and for the discussion. I special thanks to our Council General, all the way coming from Bangalore, for this discussion, and thank you one and all for this for you are attending this. Thank you one and all.
We are now privileged to hear from our guest of honor. We invite Mr. Jonas Brunswick, CEO and Consul General at Swissnex in India, Consulate General of Switzerland, Bangalore, to address the gathering.
Vanakkam, namaskara, and to use the fourth national language of Switzerland, Allegra. Very few people speak the language, Romansh. I'm delighted to be here. I'm taking my phone just to keep track of time because I can easily lose track of time. Thank you, Mati. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chancellor, and to everyone for being here. It's fantastic to address a room full of people. And before I get started with the few messages that I have to share, I want to acknowledge all the women in the room, because we need the presence of women in all the work that we do, and particularly in the work at the frontiers of science. And why am I bringing this up? Because I noticed that both on the stage and in the first rows, we have one lady from the veterinary college presence. And I bring this up not to point the finger at anyone, because I myself know the challenges with creating opportunities, but just to bring awareness that we need to do more and continue to do more to create more opportunities, to have more women in the front seat and more women on stage to contribute with their views and ideas. Now, I'm the Consul General of Switzerland. I'm also the CEO of Swissnex in India. The reason I am here is because I wear the hat of CEO of Swissnex in India. The Consul General is a little benefit that I get. That is why Dr. Bhutani, you have such a young and dynamic person addressing you. Consul General usually tend to be a little bit older because you have to have more experience to reach that role. In my case, I didn't go through the steps. I made a lateral entry that just came with the benefit. Therefore, you will have to indulge me. I want to start with talking about the relations between Switzerland and India. And I'll tell you in a minute how they relate to Sustainable One Health. We have been celebrating 75 years of friendships between Switzerland and India. In fact, Switzerland was the first country with whom India signed a friendship treaty after independence. But we don't live of our past. What matters is the present and the future. And the present is a historic present for Switzerland and India, because earlier this year, after 16 years of negotiation, Switzerland, together with the EFTA countries of Norway, Liechtenstein, and Iceland, signed a trade and economic partnership agreement. The first European countries to have such an agreement with India. And what that means is that the two countries have made a commitment to intensify and to step up their collaboration and their cooperation. And while it says trade, it's an economic partnership agreement. The commitment that the four countries have made to India is to invest $100 billion over the next 15 years, is to create 1 million jobs over the next 15 years. And the investments that will come and the jobs that will come will be closely tied to the topic that we're talking about today, the Sustainable One Health. So this is to give you the context. So I have the privilege of being CEO of Swissnex in India and Consul General at this moment in time. And this moment in time is not special just for Switzerland and India. It's a rather peculiar moment in time because on a global scale, things are not looking that good. But if we look at countries at an individual level, Switzerland is in the heart of Western Europe. Europe is witnessing a war for the first time in a very long time. But in that context, Switzerland remains a small country that works rather well, where crisis has not hit with the same way that it has in other neighboring countries. We don't have high youth unemployment, our economy keeps growing, we managed to become more sustainable. We now have calling all Swiss citizens this month to vote on a biodiversity initiative to take drastic measures to further protect our biodiversity. So things are progressing. And if we look at India, I don't know that there's another country on earth right now being in the position that India is in. Things are going forward. The future, from an Indian perspective, looks bright. And that is a contrast with what it looks like from much of the rest of the world. There is an air of possibility, there is an air of transformation, and life is getting better at scale in India. And that is unfortunately a little bit the exception in the global context rather than the norm. And I have now the privilege of being the bridge between these two such diverse countries that yet have a lot in common and have a lot going for themselves. And so it is incumbent on us, people in Switzerland, as well as people in India, to be the drivers of the transformations and the change that is so urgently needed. And that is why I'm so excited to be here and to return in less than a year to Pondicherry and to the University of Pondicherry, because just 11 months ago I got to attend the inauguration of the Center for Sustainability and Climate Studies, and now I get to see it enter into its next phase with the Sustainable One Health initiative and consortium that is now being developed before our very eyes. This is frontier work. This is work that is urgently needed, and this is work that the people up here on stage, the people here in the room, and the people in the extended community here are leading. And while it is anchored and grounded in the reality of Pondicherry, it has meaning and importance on a much grander scale, and that's why we want to build these bridges. And that is what I do professionally. Now, I am the CEO of Swissnex in India. I like to define Swissnex as a beautiful diplomatic anomaly. 24 years ago, Switzerland became the first country on earth to create a diplomatic representation in Boston with a focus on science, technology, and innovation. So the people to lead this institution were not selected for having passed the foreign service admissions exam and for fitting the model and the mold of that world of people who deal with the government-to-government relations. No, they were chosen for their ability to, what we like to call, engineer serendipity, create the conditions through which and by which people coming together, exchanging ideas, exchanging knowledge, can build upon their work and create pathways for collaboration that accelerate the frontiers of knowledge and create the positive transformations that are so urgently needed at the frontiers of knowledge. And when Swissnex was created 24 years ago, the situation in the world looked very different than what it does today. At the time, this was the late 90s, so the establishment was in 2000, but the conversation of creating it was in the late 90s. We were at the peak of globalization. The internet was in its early stages, and there was a techno-optimism, a techno-utopia. Technology will incredibly make our lives better, and connectivity, the reduction of barriers from people's mobility and greater connectivity will make the world a better place. We've experienced all of that for the past 25 years, but if we ask, well, where is the world at now? As I mentioned before, we have quite a few crises that we are dealing. We have national, local, and regional crises, but we also have a planetary crisis or a set of planetary crises. Whether it is the COVID pandemic that we have recently come out of, whether it is to deal with climate change and the impacts of climate change that are ever more felt on the ground, particularly so in this country as well. So the reality is very different. And so if SwissNext was created 24 years ago at a time of techno-optimism and auspicious future, we have now asked ourselves, me and my 6 colleagues who lead the other 5 SwissNext offices, have asked ourselves, well, if we were to invent a new form of diplomacy that works for the context in which we are in today and right now, what would that look like? And our answer is an initiative that we like to call planetary diplomacy. And that is why an event like this is directly relevant and why we care and why I care to be here. Because by planetary diplomacy, we want to learn how do we bring into the global rooms of power the perspectives of that which is not human, of that which may be a plant or an animal, the other than human. We have not designed a system that takes that into account. We have built a system that exerts our dominance over nature and our disposal of that which can serve a purpose for us. But we are coming to realize that we depend on the other than human, much, much more so than we previously knew. Hence the One Health, hence this interlinkage between the human, the animal, and the environmental dimensions of health. Planetary health, if you will. In fact, our biggest program at SwissNext in India this year will take place in December, and it's a 3-day trialogue on planetary health between the University of Zurich, the University of Makerere in Uganda, and the Indian Institute of Science. This will be hosted at the Indian Institute of Science, and we will have 50 experts from all different areas related to this topic coming together to have a trilateral 3-day trialogue to come up with new ideas, just like this consortium aims to do. So of course we will explore how to incorporate and include the perspectives from the Sustainable One Health Center and the initiative that is being launched here today. Now, I've mentioned in the beginning the importance, the historic moment of Indo-Swiss relations right now. I have come here leading an organization that was deeply bottom up. My job and the job of people at SwissNext in India is at the grassroots level, or maybe was at the grassroots level. That means we support a researcher from a Swiss-based university who says, I would love to find a collaborator in India. We support a startup from Switzerland that has an interest in learning about the opportunities in India, whether they can advance their technology in India, make it better, whether they can deploy it. Because frankly, if Switzerland were to become carbon neutral tomorrow, as a Swiss person, I would get to feel great. I would get to wave the Swiss flag and say, look at us, carbon neutral, yay. But on a planetary level, it would not mean anything. But if India were to become carbon neutral tomorrow, now that would make a difference on a much larger scale, which means that any effort that a small reality like Switzerland does to engineer and to strive and work for a greater future cannot just be conceived of in the boundaries of the Swiss borders. That doesn't mean that we come to India and say, hey India, you must do this and that. No. But we must collaborate, we must engage, we must create more opportunities for more people to come together. And the sad reality is that the way in which India is still known today in Switzerland to the large majority of the population, particularly those who have never visited India, is with a very dated view of India. There is a very limited understanding of the complex, diverse, and to a certain extent fantastic realities, multiple realities of India. And so my job and our job is often to translate that and to say, hey, hold on, India is not a developing country. India is a frontier country. It may have some elements of a developing country. Of course, there is a lot of poverty, but there is a lot of frontiers and there's a lot in between. So it's like many countries in one. And just reducing it to one does not work. And so our job on one hand is translation. How do we translate the reality of India to Switzerland today so that Switzerland learns that actually we must engage, we must step up our engagement with India. And that's why the free trade agreement is so important, because it's a signal that the governments have made to the businesses and to the communities of both countries. Our goal is ambitious. We want to step up. We have set a 15-year target to make this happen. Now, of course, a free trade agreement is not that relevant for a university. University is in the business of education and research. Fortunately, that is what we at SwissNext focus on, and that is where our efforts are focused. So I said, grassroots. Our work maybe was in the grassroots. I see myself much more now as a lobbying agent that is trying to persuade agencies like the Indian Council of Medical Research, the Department of Science and Technology, the Department of Biotechnology, the Swiss National Science Foundations, those who have the means to enable frontier science to happen, to join their means, to create more joint funding, to create more joint opportunities, more regular ones, so that we can do more meaningful science and have more rapid advances that help us find the solutions and the approaches and also the knowledge that we so urgently need to deal with the complicated situation that we face. The good news for this center is that we're just at the very beginning of this journey, but the very first call for proposals of this new era of Indo-Swiss cooperation is set to go live in December this year. And it is going to be a joint call for proposal funded by the Swiss National Science Foundation on the Swiss side, by the Indian Council of Medical Research and the Department of Biotechnology in India, and it's going to focus on One Health. Meaning that the scientists and the researchers in here, the ideas that you have, I would encourage you now to start thinking, well, how could we complement this with what researchers in Switzerland are doing, if you know them? And of course you have a fantastic bridge in Professor Matti, who has spent several years in Switzerland, but you have a bridge in us as well. To start thinking about it so that when the call launches, you will have the opportunity to submit a joint proposal for funding. And our goal is to move from a reality where these joint calls happen not every 2 years or every 3 years, but where we have multiple calls every year. So really enter into a new phase. Now, I'm not a funding agency. I can't do that, but I'm using my voice and I'm using my observations and what I have learned in the past 3 years in India to tell this story to those who have the means, but maybe not the understanding, maybe not the contextual knowledge, to then, with that contextual knowledge and understanding, make a more informed decision. And I know that the more informed decision today is, when you know India, the more informed decision is to engage more, to do more meaningfully, more systematically, and more strategically. Because we are a small reality, for us, that also means making choices. Because you cannot be active in everything. You have to choose where are the complementarities, where are the opportunities, where is the opportunity space. If you think of the two countries like a Venn diagram coming together, where is the sweet spot? And so for us, those are 3 thematic areas that we see as a focus for the future. Health is the first one. It's very broad. I've heard we have this planetary health trialogue focus. Last year we had a big program on antimicrobial resistance. In health, other areas that we may want to look at in the future are tied to gene therapy, rare and neglected tropical diseases. Switzerland, of course, has a lot of know-how, has a lot of strength in the academic and in the industry side, in the life sciences, in biotechnology, in pharma. India does too. Bringing them together, creating more sustained structures and funding for that to happen is the goal. Second area is sustainability, very broad. Again, we want to be specific, but at the same time leave enough room so that the areas within sustainability that make sense can be developed further. And within sustainability, we can look at transition to renewable energy. Another challenge where if Switzerland were fully renewable, which it almost is, we'd get to feel good about it, but not a big difference. if you manage to do that in India, massive difference. Clear area for greater cooperation. Removal of CO2 from the atmosphere is another area where we have complementarity for working together. And then how do we better protect, preserve, and manage our biodiversity? Now, India is one of the biodiversity hotspots of the world, something that you all know, but something that people back in Switzerland, in Europe, and maybe in the West, if I can generalize, do not know so well. We think of the Amazon, we think of sub-Saharan Africa, but we do not think of India as being one of the biodiversity hotspots. Yet it is, and we know that we're in the midst of a great extinction. So we know that we need to become better at learning how do we protect and preserve and manage the biodiversity, and technology can play a wonderful role through remote sensing, for example, and the combination of technology and indigenous knowledge can chart a meaningful pathway. So there is an opportunity there to work together. In fact, I think the most exciting project that we are working on, we're not leading it, but we're supporting it, has nothing to do with Switzerland, but it has to do with biodiversity. It's an idea called interspecies money, which was theorized by Jonathan Ledger, the futurist from Scotland, who is based in Nairobi, Kenya. And he proposed to create a digital currency called interspecies money and give a species, let's say an elephant, digital currency. And that elephant can use the digital currency when they pass on a coffee plantation and cause some damage because they go after the jackfruit. They can use the digital currency to pay the plantation owner to offset for the damages. They can pay the villagers for observing the elephant and keeping track of it, because by collecting data we can better understand the needs and the interests of the other than human. They could pool their funds with other elephants to buy land and buy themselves an elephant corridor where it's needed, or build a fence where they need protection. Seems like a far-fetched idea. Not so far-fetched, because there's a pilot in the works in South India, in Karnataka, using elephants and using digital currency. Because of course, India is at the frontier of digital public infrastructure. Which brings me to the third focus area, digital transformation. India has a lot to give and a lot to show to the world when it comes to digital transformation. From the role in the Y2K challenge that India solved for the rest of the world back in 2000, to the phenomenal digital public goods that you and I all get to enjoy in India today. By the way, this is far more advanced than what we can do in Switzerland. India has something to offer. The world has something to learn from India. That's the reality we are in. I think that's the reality we have always been in, but we haven't looked at it that way. And now we need to wake up to look at it more that way. And in that sense, I see an auspicious future, because I see a room full of people who care, who are engaged, who are committed, who show up. And I'm sure that together we will all do the hard work that needs doing. And I think there's nothing more rewarding than doing hard things with friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brunswick, for the refreshing perspective on Sustainable One Health Initiative. I now invite Professor N.R. Biswas, Vice Chancellor Sri Balaji Vidyapeeth, to address the gathering.
Good afternoon to all. Vanakkam, Namaskaram, and present on the dais. I think we are missing the chief guest. Maybe he can arrive any time. And the guest of honor, Mr. Jonas Brunswick. And you were telling that from 2007 you are out of Switzerland. Behind that, 10 years ago, I was in Switzerland, 1997. All the fantastic countries, starting from your capital, Bern, Zurich, Geneva, then Lausanne, even to Interlaken. So I visited. Excellent. And as you just now told, I really noted down that we have 75 years friendship with Switzerland, and this economic partnership, you told that we can create 1 million jobs It's really very, and I appreciate that you have seen the potentiality of India, and this today's program, this honor program, it's really it's not a very old idea, but it's a relatively new idea, because in the ecosystem we have to maintain the balance. When we see the human disease, then the animal disease, and then the agriculture, all ecosystem we have to maintain, and we need the development, but simultaneously we have to maintain the nature. Wherever there is extra development, people, greedy people do. You see what we are having in our Himachal Pradesh and other things. Every day there is this landsliding, this flood. This is man-made, so we have to control that thing. And as our Honorable Vice Chancellor told, he is a chemist. Your subject and my subject, there is a lot of similarity. I am a pharmacologist. So you taught about alkene, alkyne, acetylcholine, organic chemistry, RNA, DNA, everything is the chemistry. Chemistry is the backbone of the medicine also. We can't underscore that. So we have to work together as it is decided and as it is told by the welcome address Mr. Manimaran sir, as well as VC sir and our Botany sir, and of course just now the guest of honor Mr. Jones, and all present here from different universities, and I see some of my own colleagues. Dr. Das, you are Dean Academic, you worked long time in JIPMAR. Dr. Nirmal is our hospital director. Dr. Reddy is also a medical oncologist, radiation oncologist from JIPMAR and our registrar. So we have to take a place today that we have to work together for the benefit of the human society, because it all depends on us. The future generation looking us, so what we will keep for them. So if we work together, so certainly this world, this earth can be a better place to live. I will not take much of your time. Thank you very much for calling me and addressing this gathering. Thank you again.
Thank you, sir, for your engaging and insightful address. As we come to the conclusion of our formal program, we invite Dr. Mani Kandan, Associate Professor at Center for Nanosciences and Technology, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Very good afternoon and good evening all. It's my great honor to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of Center for Sustainability and Climate Studies and the organizing committee on this international symposium on One Health Sustainable. First and foremost, I extend my deepest gratitude to our today chief guest and our Honorable Vice Chancellor and respected our registrar and the various speaker from the partner institute. Sir, you have delivered an insight and various new ideas have illuminated us for the path towards to our integrated and sustainable approach to health, and have certainly inspired new ideas and various collaboration for the future industries. As we conclude, let us carry forward the knowledge and connection made here today from our Jonas and other various partner institute. May this symposium be beginning of many more initiatives that will drive the sustainability One Health agenda forward, creating an healthier and more sustainable world for futures in generation. Thank you, one and all.